Shah Peerally Productions presents its first motion picture based on a compilation of several true stories adapted for a movie. Shattered Freedom is a tale of a young woman's dream to marry an American man only to find that he turned into a monster. Shattered Freedom is a story of hardship, but also of hope, of living the American dream.
I can promise you right now, you're going to stay in America. Nobody is going to deport you from here.
So Shah, welcome to the show, and you are one person who wears several hats. You've been just back from Mauritius, and I heard that's a beautiful place. You had a great time there. And you're back into making another movie, and you're a lawyer. You're an immigration lawyer.
Yes.
You do so many things, and what inspires you? Why do you make movies that are geared towards empowering women?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for welcoming me, both of you.
It's a pleasure.
So the idea that I have, I'm an immigration lawyer, and all the movies you will see are related to social issues and law, and mostly immigration law. And what happens is, when I became an attorney, one of my prayers was basically to help people and basically make a decent living. And I was able to do that doing immigration law. My first case I took was a Violence Against Women Act case, which is VAWA. And since then...
So is that the Shattered Freedom movie?
That's
okay.
the Shattered
That's your first movie?
That's the first movie we did, actually. And we started with Shattered Freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fiction, by the way, but it's inspired by my work, by something which is very important to me, because that law is not only powerful for women, it protects men and children. I work directly with this law, and it's not gender-based. It's a law, although it was built to protect women and empower women, it has already been used to protect men and children. So the argument of people saying that this law is gender-based really is not true.
So it's for both men and women?
Men and women.
That was an excellent shot.
I know.
So, what are we going to do about the money?
But the money? Let me use your wife on my next porn video, and I'll give you the money.
So 2 movies. You're almost completing your second movie.
Yes.
Why has there been so much focus only on H4 and H1s?
Well, the thing is that this is another area of practice of mine, right? And we deal a lot with people on those work visas, employment-based visas. And and in 2012 actually, there's a lady who called me from the East Coast, and she told me, Shah, we have this group of women who, pretty much most of them are women, I'd say 99% are women, and we are stuck on this H4 visa. We need your support to help us promote a change in that law to get a work permit. Her name is Rashi. I want to mention her because she's been really instrumental in making that movement really go strong. Up to the Congress, by the way. And at that time, their group was like 200 people. So she said, I talked to many lawyers and nobody wanted to help us because they don't see anything there. So I said, okay, I'll help you by basically inviting you on a show and start talking about it, starting a petition. And then suddenly it gathered a lot of momentum. The big press picked it in India, in the US. It went pretty much all over the place. Actually,
I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it.
Exactly. Right? And suddenly when we started talking about it, more and more people got involved.
बड़ी मेहनत से मैंने पाला था। देखो परदेश में अपने लोगों को कभी मत भूलना। कभी मत भूलना तुम कहाँ से आई हो। जी पापा। और बेटा आपका ख्याल रखो।
I just wanted to create again an awareness campaign and try to change that law because not only I practice as a lawyer, I'm very much an advocate. That's what I believe I am. So I wanted to advocate to change that law. So one way to do that is to get the support of the press. And we did get the support, and with their help, then a next step came just suddenly. We said, you know what, we want to create more awareness. And one way to do that is to show really the human side of it. Because we were talking about it in general, and the human side, we needed something which is more can connect people better.
But if there's one thing we want to learn from him is to where do you find all this time in a day? So you're a lawyer, you're making all these movies, and you seem so relaxed. Thank you so much for joining us here today, and we definitely want our viewers to check your website.
Thank you very
Shah
much.
Peerally Movies.
Thank
very
you.
much.
It was a pleasure.
You're welcome.
You're watching America's first South Asian TV talk show. Don't go away. Women Now will be right back.
This is a very touching story of Amanda and her mother Ann. Amanda Brownell, as a 16-year-old, tried to take her life in a bathroom at Del Mar High School in San Jose. This was due to the bullying she endured through social media and text messages she received the month before her suicide attempt. Ann now shares the pain of Amanda's story to educate parents, grandparents, teachers, social workers, school administrators, and students about this serious issue of suicide, bullying, and self-harm. Due to the trauma that Amanda sustained from her suicide attempt, she was unable to walk, talk, or eat on her own. She was fed through a feeding tube and had to wear diapers. She would blink twice for yes, hello, thank you, and even smiled. Her progress exceeded all the medical expectations of someone with her type of trauma. But after 4+ years, Amanda decided that she was tired of all the poking, squeezing, and medication and decided that it was time for her to go back to heaven. Her job here was done. So once everything was in place, she went back to her childhood home to pass away. On April 16, 2013, Amanda died surrounded by her loved ones. Since Amanda's suicide attempt, Ann has done more than 1,000 presentations in front of about 50,000 people to raise awareness about bullying. Ann continues to work on getting everyone to take a stand against this form of violence against everyone. She's always willing to share her family's story so that others that are bullied will speak up about it instead of doing what Amanda did. Purple and teal, Amanda Network wristbands, and Amanda Network scarves are symbols of royalty, bravery, peace, support of LGBTQ, and spreading the message of love for all people and all living things. The hero of the month, Ann Solorio Brownell.
So Amanda is my second child, but my older daughter is 2.5 years older than Amanda. And, we talked about sex, drugs, STDs, everything, under the sun that they don't learn at school, right? Because they're afraid to talk about that. But kids as young as 6 and suicide and LGBTQ, everything. And with my older daughter, and had my younger daughter there, Amanda, and she would put her fingers above her ears and say, TMI, TMI, too much information. And I'm like, but she was listening. And I know she was listening because after she had her suicide attempt, I read her diaries. And when you think that your kids aren't listening to you, guess what?
They are listening.
They are listening. They pay attention. They see that when you come into the room, if you light up and are excited and happy to see them, or you just, okay, go do this, do that, the list goes on, and come back down for dinner or whatever, do your homework. But we have to take time and realize that they could have had a bad day.
Right.
Right? And we don't know that. Everybody has a different breaking point. And because Amanda was such a good actress, she never told me. And it was by accident. One day I picked her up from school, and she got in my car, she turned her cell phone on, and it was beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, are those text messages? Because a text message sounds different from a voice message or a phone call. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? We hadn't even left the campus yet. So that's when she said that her 2 best friends were bullying her. And so we talked about it a little bit and said that, okay, well, do you want your dad to tell the teacher so that he can look into it? And she's like, yeah, I guess that would be okay. And So we didn't take it that serious. We didn't know what it was.
And this was how much before
1
she
month.
attempted?
1 month before
So
her.
I think that's a good learning, because there are some signs, there are some ways to find out or figure out something could be going wrong with your child, and sometimes we ignore that, overlook that, and we always try to think that nothing can go wrong with our child. I mean,
Right.
these are stories
Yeah.
we hear on
Yeah.
TV,
Not my
on different
kid.
places. Not my kid, she's fine.
Yeah.
And then after a month, you realize that, you know, she was really in deep trouble.
Well, yeah, I got a phone call from the principal and told me to sit down wherever I was. And I'm like, okay, what happened? And then what he told me, that Amanda tried to kill herself in the bathroom, and that she was found, and the ambulance came and they were taking her to the hospital, which was less than a mile away. And good thing it's still there, Valley Medical Center, which is the best trauma hospital in Santa Clara County. And so by the time I got there and found parking and found where I needed to go, I mean, I was exhausted. And so they just told me to wait into the pediatrics intensive care unit floor. There was a family room. And so I was in there, and then they brought me in to see her, because they were just moving her from the ER down to the ICU, or up to the ICU. And so when I walked in, I see all these machines, all this stuff coming in and out of her. And, you know, we talked about this. If she ever thought about hurting herself, that she was supposed to call me.
Right. Now, that's what I want to focus on for myself and for my viewers. I really want to know what changed in her daily life from that time you saw all those texts till that day. And were you ever suspicious of any activity or anything, so we can learn from what could go on in their mind during that time?
Well, let's go back a bit. Amanda was first bullied when she was in 5th grade. And from 5th grade to 8th grade, she became a totally different kid. And I kept telling her, you know, taking her to the doctor because she had a stomach ache. So she had a parasite in her stomach for 2 years before we finally figured out what it was. So it made her gain weight, but she was still a good actress. So she never really showed that she was in any pain, because, you know, when she'd see her friends in pain, she'd go up there and give them a hug or make a silly face or, you know, sing a song to them.
Yeah, so many times kids become more outgoing because they're trying to hide the pain.
They do.
And I recently heard that one of the first symptoms of depression is stomachache. And that we just ignore it. We take medication and we ignore it, but it could be a deep-rooted psychological issue.
Well, the Center for Disease Control and the National Institute of Health, I get emails from there every week, and they just recently, just last month, sent out a thing about teens or preteens that when they're in middle school, they've already thought about committing suicide before they even get into high school.
Right.
But 2 years ago, I went to the Stop Girl Bullying Conference, and it was in Atlanta, and I was sitting in listening to one of the breakout speakers who was a brain scientist, and she was saying that, you know, the serotonin in the kids' brains goes so far down when they're going through puberty that they have thoughts of suicide and suicide ideation. I'm like, okay, how come that's not all over the news and we're not telling all our kids and parents that? And even other family members and nieces and nephews and my brother and sister. And it was like overwhelming, the fact that too many kids, teens and adults, are killing themselves because people around them are just too negative, and they bring them down and they say all these mean things, and it's too much. I mean, I even dealt with and still deal with every day with depression. I mean, look at what I'm dealing with. And there are people out there that have something worse. So I'm grateful for what I have. I'm grateful I had Amanda. I'm grateful that I was her mother and that she stayed around for 4 years so that I could have saved more kids. And I have Lost one daughter,
What was the message she was giving you all these
But-
4 years?
but gained thousands. Her message was that she stayed here for me to do this, and this was her path, and it was supposed to be my path. And now I know, and it's worldwide.
We do want to award you our Hero of the Month for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
And really appreciate you for coming. And Uma chose you to be our hero is because you're
Thank you.
inspiring our whole community and people beyond, and you're reaching out. And if we could be of any help in having your message and you reach out to our audience. Things happen in your life, it's how you handle it that makes the difference. So on that note, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you for allowing me to be here and for this great honor. I treasure it, and I believe that together we can change the world one person at a time.
You're watching America's first South Asian TV talk show. Don't go away. Women Now will be right back.
Now, corruption has been a topic in the back of every Desi's mind for several years now. Most of us tackle this on a day-to-day basis. Now, what happens when we bring two strong forces together to tackle this? That's exactly what we are doing today. We are sitting and talking with none other than Anna Hazare ji as well as Kiran Bedi ji.
Anna Hazare is a social activist who led movements to promote rural development, increase government transparency, and investigate and punish official corruption. In addition to organizing and encouraging grassroots movements, Hazare frequently conducted hunger strikes to further his causes, a tactic reminiscent to many of the work of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He was awarded the Padma Bhushan, the third highest civilian award, by the government of India in 1992 for his efforts in establishing this village as a model for others. Anna Hazare has been exerting pressure on the Indian government to enact a stringent anti-corruption law, the Lokpal Bill.
1963 में मैं फौज में भर्ती हुआ। चाइना ऑपरेशन में हमारे बहुत बड़ी नुकसान हो गई। देश को जवानों की जरूरत थी, तो मैं सोचा क्यों ना देश सेवा के लिए हम फौज में जाए, तो मैं फौज में भर्ती हो गया। और 1965 भारत पाकिस्तान का युद्ध हुआ। खेमकरण की सीमा पर मैं था, दुश्मन के हवाई हमले हो गए मेरे ऊपर और मेरे सब साथी उधर शहीद हो गए। मैं बच गया। उसी टाइम खेमकरण के सीमा पर मेरा निश्चय हो गया, जो मेरे साथी शहीद हो गए मैं भी शहीद हुआ हूँ, अभी है ये मेरा पुनर्जन्म है।
आज एक अन्ना हजारे नहीं, जैसे अभी किरण जी हमारे साथ में हैं, तो हम लोग कितना दिन से लड़ रहे हैं, वो भी हमारे आंदोलन में है ना। ऐसे कई लोग हम लोग जुटे हैं, और अभी इसकी संख्या जब बढ़ेगी, जितने बढ़ते जाएगी, इसलिए तो हम अमेरिका में आए। भारत के लोग अभी संगठित हो रहे हैं, लड़ रहे हैं। अमेरिका के युवक भी अभी जागरूक होकर इस मूवमेंट के लिए यहाँ से शुरुआत करना। तो भारत के लोगों का प्रेशर प्लस अमेरिका के लोगों का प्रेशर तो गवर्नमेंट को करना पड़ेगा। ये प्रेशर ग्रुप बनना चाहिए।
जिस गांव में पीने के लिए पानी नहीं, खाने के लिए अनाज नहीं, लोग भूखे सोते हैं, 6-6 किलोमीटर तोड़ने के लिए जाते हैं। जिस गांव में 80% भूखे थे, उस गांव से सरकारी विदेश में भेजी। तो गांधी जी का सपना ये था, देश बदलने के लिए गांव बदलना, लेकिन गांव बदलने के लिए लोगों को बदलना। वो रालेगंज सिटी में किया। और आज गांव को देखने के लिए पूरी देश विदेश से 6 साल में 5 लाख लोग आए स्टडी करने के लिए।
और आप लोकपाल बिल को इतना सपोर्ट करके आए हैं और आपको पता है और सबको पता है इस बिल से कई मंत्रियों को तकलीफ हो सकता है कानून से और कई लोग जेल भी जा सकते हैं। क्या उन्हीं मंत्री इस बिल को सपोर्ट करेंगे?
इसीलिए तो जन लोकपाल नहीं आ रहा है। उनको खतरा है कि जन लोकपाल आ गया तो हमारे मंत्री तो जेल में जाएंगे, फिर जन लोकपाल आकर हम लोग क्या करेंगे, ऐसा लगता है सरकार। इसलिए हम लोग जो चाहते हैं, जो हम लोग ड्रॉप दिया है इसके मुताबिक हम लोग चाहते हैं, उसके मुताबिक सरकार करने के लिए तैयार नहीं, लेकिन अभी उसका माध्यम कुछ निकाल रहे हैं ऐसे मुझे मालूम पड़ा है कि हमारा भी नहीं उनका भी नहीं, दोनों में एक माध्यम क्या होगा, ऐसे एक बिल लाकर ये कानून को बनाना, ऐसे कुछ चल रहा है। अभी देखेंगे क्या होता है।
Kiran Bedi, this is a question for you. You also have been fighting against corruption and all the wrong things in India for so long. What happens after you win? Can people follow it? There's so much corruption in our day-to-day life and under-the-table bribery and things like that. How do we follow what you've taught so far on a day-to-day basis?
You need to. We as non-resident Indians must also unite against this. Unite to fight against corruption. You need to have one voice here. You are so many groups. You need to come together as non-resident Indians against corruption. We had Indians against corruption. You need to come on non-resident Indians against corruption.
मैं तो विनती करूँगा जो लिखे पढ़े लड़के हैं, इन लोगों ने बहुत बड़े पैमाने पर आगे आना है, क्योंकि सवेरे नाश्ता और 2 टाइम का खाना उधर मिलता है जेल में। ये तैयारी रखनी है। अरे जेल ये दूषण नहीं है, जेल ये भूषण है, भूषण।